How's it going, everybody? This is Andrew Haggerty. Welcome to another Two with Andrew. I'm not going to be crazy long today. Just kind of wanted to go over some stuff. I spent a lot of last week in strategic planning for both the Las Cruces Association of Realtors as well as the Texas Realtors, the state organization. And it just got me thinking that, it's something that we as realtors, we are all own our own businesses. We are entrepreneurs. We're running our own businesses. And we've got to spend some time and actually do it ourselves. We've got to make sure we're doing strategic planning for our goals. If we're not setting goals, we can't meet goals. If we're not getting an idea of where we want to be and how we want to get there, we're not going to get there. Anyone who's been a volunteer for the associations knows you spend time in budget and finance meetings. You spend time in all these different meetings and plannings and doing things, and you do it for your association, but you don't do it for yourself. So I just wanted to spend just a minute with that and just say, guys, you need to sit there and say, what is next year going to look like? And how am I going to get there? That's one of the biggest questions. And it's tough. And that was a lot of the conversations that we had in our meetings ourselves is, what is 2022 going to look like? Where are we going to be? How are we going to be there? I mean, Southwest right now is having issues getting people in flights. You can say weather all day long, but I don't think that's the problem. So what is next year going to look like? How are the tax structures going to be? What is going to happen? How is it going to work? You got fears going on with the IRS going after $600 transactions. You've got all these different things that could really affect banking next year, which could really affect housing. Because, we don't like to think about it, but banks don't have any money. It's our money. The conversation of, let's forgive all these loans. Well, that's your money in the checking account that was used to loan that money out. So it'll be interesting. But that being said, you've got to take all that, put it behind you and say, what is my goal? How am I going to get there? And those things don't change. How many conversations you needed to have to create a lead, how many leads you need to have to make a sale, and how many sales you want. So take it back down to that basic numbers when you're doing your planning for the year and say, okay, this is how many phone calls I need to make. This is how many conversations I need to have. This is how many pop buys I need to do. This is what I've got to do to make sure that I can feed my family, because that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure we can do a good job for our clients and our family gets to eat. Now, that being said, I am going to take it back. It is that time of year where we get the Texas Realtors magazine. I know so many of you are not reading it, and you need to read this magazine. It's great. So I've just pulled out some stuff from it. This is some good stuff to go over. Realtors did a lot this year with the homeowner association. So we're going to talk about homeowner associations a little bit. Then we're going to talk about some legal update stuff. There's a huge section in there about the changing of the seller's disclosure. We're not going to get into that right now, but some great stuff on that one, as well as we're going to get some stuff in section 8.0. Because I've hit that a lot, and I'll continue to hit that and some things on that. So with that, I'm going to switch over to my link real quick. Hopefully everybody can see this. And just what we've got is, things to ask before buying in a homeowner association. These are questions you need to have with your clients to say, does this make sense for me? Should I be doing this? A homeowners association's true intention is to protect property values and maintain a pleasant living environment. They do this through rules. So before you decide you want to buy, and by this, I mean the buyer. So as real estate professionals, we will be talking to our buyers saying, before you decide this is where you want to live. One, can you afford it? HOAs survive by dues. It's either paid monthly, quarterly, or annually, and it's expensive. They can add up quickly. Can you afford the dues? When are the dues going to be required? Because the scary thing is a homeowners association can foreclose on a property for non-payment of dues. So you've got to make sure you stress to your clients, understand if you buy this property, you are agreeing to pay for these fees. Not only the fees, but rules. The next section, what are the rules? All members of an association must adhere to a set of rules known as the covenants, conditions, and restrictions. These rules regulate many facets of home ownership, such as lawn maintenance, architectural design, and where you can park vehicles. Review a copy of the documents. You don't want to find out after closing you can't store your boat in your driveway. We've seen many transactions have here's issues because they found out too late or after the fact that they weren't allowed to park a car there, or a truck or an RV or whatever it was. they can be as strict as ratio of grass to rock in your front yard. You've got to make sure you understand what you're getting into when you're buying a property in a homeowners association. If it's a mandatory association, what rules are there going to be that you have to follow? Who's going to be implementing those rules? It sounds great that, in theory that, hey, everyone's going to take care of their lawn until you get the phone call that your lawn's too long and you're going to get a fine if you don't cut your yard today. You've got to know what you're walking into and how. Amenities. What amenities are included? A lot of homeowner associations have either a room people can use, a pool, a workout equipment, hiking and biking trails, different things that part of your dues money is going to take care of. What's included and what's not. Just because you don't want to use the pool doesn't mean you don't pay for the pool. Even if you have a pool in your backyard, well, I don't want to use the community pool. That's great. But part of this association is that you're going to use it. And just because you don't use it doesn't mean it doesn't bring value to you later. So just understand which amenities are included, which ones you're allowed to use, and what you get for it or don't. Do you want to get involved? Another good opportunity for involvement and giving back to your community is, joining the association's committees or a board of directors. So it's another opportunity where you can meet your neighbors, do what you need to do. But just a great conversation about what are we going to do and how to meet our association. Now, that being said, I talked about this a little bit before. A lot of new laws went into effect this year with homeowner associations. So as of September 1st, these laws went into effect. Fees were capped for subdivision information of $375. Resale certificates were capped at $75, and updated resale certificates $75. TREC will create a publicly accessible central database of Texas homeowner associations by December 1st. So that is fantastic. You know where to go. HOAs are required to maintain websites with management certificates and meeting information and notifications. Also fantastic. There's nothing more frustrating than searching to find out who runs a homeowners association. Now they have to create a website. HOAs that have at least 60 lots or a contract with a management company are required to file dedicatory instruments with the county and provide certain contact information on all dedicatory instruments and management certificates. Property owners have new protections for negative credit, reporting when a fine or fee is in dispute, and HOAs are required to give a detailed report of charges and offer a payment plan. New laws improve some conflicts of interest with HOAs, architectural review boards, which is great. They've blocked a lot of what people can do in certain areas, so it gives us a little bit more opportunities. HOAs are barred from requiring access to lease agreements and only allowed to request a tenant's contact info, lease beginning and end dates. Also important, you shouldn't have to get permission from your HOA to rent out your property. HOAs are required to solicit bids for contracts for services over $50,000. HOAs are barred from prohibiting certain pool safety enclosures, installation of certain security measures on an owner's private property, or certain religious displays. HOA board members are required to provide members with timely notice about meetings, and new laws improve due process and dispute resolution and provide additional legal avenues for seeking resolution. Realtors worked very hard on these bills to make sure that they were passed, so we are excited about that. So I wanted you guys to see that. They're out there. They're available. Legal and ethics. Now, this is kind of a crazy one. I'm not going to read this one line for line. When do past repairs become defects to be disclosed? So we talk about that. We talk about this in some of our meetings quite often about, when is a defect that's been fixed no longer a defect? And that's not really a question for us to answer. And so what happened was, in this situation, in this conversation, about 4 times a year, it would rain really bad, cause a little bit of a flooding. The owner would fix it, go in there, clean it up, fix it, and thought of it more as a maintenance issue than a problem, just knowing that they'd have to do it. Well, got it done, got it fixed, never hired a contractor to do the work, but just got it done. Then selling their home, was filling out the seller's disclosure and asked, hey, this I fixed 2 years ago. Is it still a problem or not? The agent said, hey, since you fixed it 2 years ago, it's not a problem. You don't have to put it. Well, a couple weeks after the sale of the home, this happened to the house. Buyer sued the seller. Seller then sued the agent, saying, "Hey, you told me I didn't have to do this." End of the day, seller was sued, lost money. Seller's agent was sued and had to give money as well. We do not weigh in on these issues, and that's kind of what this is saying from the beginning. If you have questions about what should or shouldn't be done, the answer isn't I don't think so. You don't need to put it. It's talk to your attorney and see what your attorney says. Cannot give legal advice on these situations. We cannot say this does not need to be here because it's not our role to decide that. Be very careful about that because that can come in and be a huge issue that you don't want to be a part of. You should not get involved at all in seller's completion of the seller's disclosure notice unless you know of an undisclosed defect. It is the seller's responsibility to complete the document. The Texas Real Estate Commission says to review the seller's disclosure notice to make sure the seller has answered all questions and is filled in relevant information. If the seller still has something items undisclosed, you should ask the seller to complete the missing and disclosure items. If the seller is unwilling to disclose known defects, you and your broker should decide whether the listing you wish to market as you likely violates. So it's very important to know we can't be a part of this document, and it's very difficult. It's very easy to get in there and say, hey, that's not what this is for. This is not what this does. It's just too easy of a trap for us to fall into. At the end of the day, don't fall into the trap. Guys, if they have questions about this form, they need to talk to an attorney. That's the answer you need to come up with. And it sounds like passing the buck, and I get that, and I apologize for that. But I'd much rather than be like, hey, I don't like your answer, than, hey, you told me the wrong thing, I'm suing you. So just something to think about that. Section 8.0. Section 8.0 came into effect in May of 2020. This is the clear cooperation policy for the National Association of Realtors. So this is not a local thing. This is not an MLS thing. This is not one or two people doing it. This is a National Association of Realtors item. It has to do with coming soon, pocket listings, or however you want to identify them. As soon as you start advertising a property, you have 1 business day to put it in the multiple listing service. Period. What does clear cooperation policy say? Policy states that within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with other MLS participants. Business days exclude Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. What is considered public marketing? Public marketing means any time the listing information is provided outside the listing brokerage. It can include flyers displayed in windows, yard signs, digital marketing on public-facing websites, broker website displays, including IDX and VOW, digital marketing, and multi-brokerage listing sharing networks. Now, the weird thing about the way this was done, the whole point of this rule, and from what I understand, was to make sure people had more data and could have that information. But the way it's written is if as long as it's within office, you're allowed to talk about it. So it kind of creates almost more of a pocket listing for large firms and gives large firms an advantage. So I don't think it's really did exactly what they were wanting it to do. I think it helps. The whole point of it is for realtors not to look like morons, I kind of think, more than anything else. Because there's nothing more frustrating than getting a call from a client saying, hey, I'm interested in this house, and you not being able to find that house. There's nothing on there. It's not in the MLS. But there's a sign up that says, come call me. That's what this is doing away with. So if you have a sign in the yard, if you have a flyer on the window, you have 1 business day to put in the MLS. That is an important thing to understand. Can a seller or listing broker get out of the policy's obligations? No. As soon as you have signed, you are started marketing the property, no matter what, you have to put it in the MLS. Does clear cooperation policy prohibit office exclusives? No. Direct promotion of listing between license holders affiliated with the same sponsoring broker and one-on-one promotion between these license holders and their clients is not considered public marketing. So that's what I said before. Kind of a loophole for large firms is as long as they're within the same brokerage, they're allowed to do this. So I don't think it solved all the things that they were hoping for, but it is what it is. And that's crazy. I mean, you look, there are some brokerages out there that have one, statewide broker. So all of them are allowed to market with each other. So it's an interesting thing to see how it will continue to change. Coming soon status. If an MLS has established a coming soon status that shares listing data with MLS participants, does that comply? Yes. So Both the El Paso and Las Cruces associations have a coming soon status, so you are good. If there's a coming soon situation and you want to let people know about it, and you put it in coming soon, then you're good to go to put the coming soon rider on your property and do what you need to do there. Can a broker decide whether a listing can be marked as a coming soon in the MLS? No. That is the seller's decision, guys. We can't decide for our clients what they can and can't do. So just be very careful about that. Can a broker list property in the MLS as coming soon without a listing agreement? Absolutely not. The listing agreement is what gives us the authorization to market the property and put a sign in the yard. So do not be putting anything, starting any advertising without a agreement. Can a listing broker show coming soon home to one agent but not others? Yes, but only if the seller directs the listing broker to allow the showing. Otherwise, the party listed as coming soon should not be open to showings. Also, be careful to avoid any practices that violate or may appear to violate fair housing. On that one, guys, my opinion, do for one, do for all. So if you're going to let somebody see it, you better let everybody see it, or else they're going to assume the reason you're not letting them see it is because of fair housing issues. Can a coming soon property go under contract before going active in the MLS? Yes. If the sellers wish to sell a property before a listing goes active, it is the right to do so. However, MLS rules may still require the sale be reported to the MLS. So we can't force people not to accept an offer because it's in a certain status, so it can be sold. And that's why, as a buyer's agent, you need to be checking out the coming soon status, because there's some stuff there that may or may not change how things are working. So I'll make sure you know what's going on. Next up, guys, I get asked a ton of times, what do I think about, how's the real estate market right now? Oh my God, it's amazing. And I kind of say it's a tale of two cities. It's the best of times, worst of times. If you're a listing agent, it's an amazing time to be in real estate. If you're a buyer's agent, there's been some tough months. You're fighting multiple deals. You're trying to get stuff going. You're having to do above asking offers and fight for different things and really work hard to get your clients served. So burnout is a huge issue. Identify feelings. Are you experiencing pressure from too many demands and not enough time? Give yourself permission to vent, calm down, relax, find something you can do to take your time off. Don't isolate. You're not alone. Turn to your peers, family, or support groups for help and guidance. Another option is seek professional help. The nice thing is the world's starting to open up again. You can go to different meetings and you can see stuff and see you're not the only one having problems. Set realistic expectations. It can feel great to say yes, but you can only do so much in a day. Stretching yourself too thin is exhausting. Before you begin your workday, make a list of the tasks that you can realistically do. Not an easy thing for me to say. I'm not very good at saying no. I'm on way too many boards and do way too many things, but that also keeps me excited and happy. Switch things up. Habit, monotony, and predictability can be just as draining as having too much going on. Give yourself a new challenge or goal, like taking a class to gain new accreditation or updating your website. Unplug and unwind. Remember that you've got to stop and do something else every once in a while. Have flexible schedules. Having a flexible schedule is a part of being a realtor. However, lack of set hours can have you answering your phone or email throughout the day and night. Look into ways to delegate or automate tasks so that you can take digital breaks and get in some actual downtime. There's nothing better than just vegging out and doing nothing for 30 minutes. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not a bad person for doing that if that's what you need. So it is a great time to be in real estate if the market's working for you. That doesn't mean you're a failure if you're having trouble this year. That doesn't mean that it's always going to be this way. So just take some time, think about it. If you need anything, talk to people, and that's the number one thing. People are there to answer your questions. I don't know if Brian's going to be on or not. I know he's been running meetings a lot lately, so I don't think so. Tomorrow is going to be pretty cool. Tomorrow Kent and I are going to be finishing up our 3-part series on teams, and we're going to have partner teams. So it'll be kind of a cool process. So I hope to see everybody get together for that one. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, and I guess I should go back to my StreamYard. Okay. And with that, guys, I hope this was good. I hope it was interesting. And with that, see you next week. Appreciate it.